All right, friends, here we go. Many of you that have been following this channel for a little while are going to be excited about this video because it's piggybacking on a lot of the questions that you have been sending in. Many of you may know that for the last 4 years, I've been testing and I absolutely love the RBM Outdoor series of tents. I've owned, prior to this one, I've owned 2 others that I've headed out quite religiously, quite a bit. We've created some content, some video around them. That, of course, is the Up 5. And then, of course, the Pentagon tent. Both of these, especially the Up 5, is hands down one of my favorite tents on this planet. Now, I've wanted the Hexagon tent from RBM Outdoors for some time. We know many of you folks have been interested in it. And a lot of the questions that have what you're going to be seeing in today's video, or a lot of the points that you're going to see brought up in today's videos, are all kind of piggybacking on a lot of the questions that we see you folks asking about this particular tent. So up until now, I didn't have the experience for obvious reasons with this tent. And I picked this tent up, boy, I want to say it was September, October. You know what? I'll put it up on the screen. I can't recall when I picked this thing up. But anyways, I'm leaning towards September. But over the last 4 months, I've been out there field testing and using this tent quite a bit. And that's what this video is going to be about. You're going to be watching me from various different outings, setting it up, taking it down, enjoying it, tooling around with it. And I'm going to identify my top 10 features or things that I really like about this tent. Things that I think really make this a big leap forward in terms of ground tents. And so you may agree, you may not, but ultimately at the end of the day, the whole premise behind this video here is, look, a lot of you have questions on getting out there, enjoying cold weather camping, and have questions on how you can get out there and do that. And some of you have come across some of my videos that we've created on some of the other tents from this particular manufacturer. So I'm hoping this video will answer a lot of your questions. If there are some unresolved questions that I don't cover, leave a comment down below and I will do my best to get you squared away. But with that said, I'm going to shut up here for a moment and you can start watching me get this thing set up. Now, just to set expectations up, you're going to see some notes popping up on the screen and some other items here, kind of good to know about this tent. This tent right here, it's hard to not like this tent because again, if you're getting out there and you're camping in cold weather and so forth, and you are wired like me, where look, you want your entire tent to be warm when you wake up in the morning, so you have to be able to heat it, and it needs to be able to retain heat to some degree. Again, it's a tent, so you gotta work with me here. The thermal properties are not going to be like your house, but there are some tents out there that really do shine over others. And RBM Outdoors, or this Hexagon tent right here, is a great example. So I've been playing around with this tent for the last handful of months. Now, the thermal properties with this tent are no different than the Up 5 or the Pentagon tent. They're based off the same principle. You have an outer wall, you have an inner wall, you have this buffer space that if it's during wintertime, it's going to allow you to retain that heat and heat that area with less energy versus a normal tent that just has a single wall and so forth, which has next to 0 R value. And of course, during the summertime, of course, you're cooling things, and it's going to keep that cool air inside the tent much longer, and it's going to be easier, requiring less energy to cool that space as well. So what you're going to be watching here is I've broken down the top 10 things that I really like about this Hexagon tent. And it's funny because we're heading out again this weekend, and I was just asking my son which tent, because this is a father-son. Locally here, we put together a group of urban dads that, getting them out of the urban bubble and heading out, having a little fun, and getting all the kiddos playing together. So I was asking my son which tent did he want to take out, and he wants me to bring the Hexagon or the RBM Outdoor one here. So of course, this thing's, man, it's a beautiful tent. One of the things that I knew ahead of time, and this is, you can see me taking this thing off the roof of the truck. If you have a Toyota or a Jeep or something that has that's not a full size pickup truck, I'm telling you right now, there's no way in hell you're going to fit this tent inside there. It is a beast. I knew that beforehand, and so I knew the only way that I was going to be able to get this thing out without keeping the back of my topper open was to strap this thing to the roof of the truck, which isn't a big deal. Now, I do believe I have mentioned it here already, one of the notes. If not, I'm going to repeat it again right now. The base, the floor that you see me stepping on right there and bringing out, this is a must-have. They do sell it separately. When I first picked up my Out 5 tent, my very first tent from these guys, I didn't order it with the floor. And later, I picked up the flooring, and I'm telling you, it is one of those things you absolutely want it, because it's actually thick. It takes up a pretty decent sized bag, as you saw me take out a moment ago. It's thick, so it provides some protection underneath your feet. So if you want to take your shoes off inside the tent, it is comfortable. It retains more that heat inside, and so it also insulates the floor from the cold ground that's below as well. But definitely 1000% recommend the floor mat there as well. Yeah, these tents. So one of the questions I get quite asked often with regards to this, is funny because we have these videos that show this here. These tents really do pop up that fast. So with this one right here, you're gonna do the walls first. Just go around, you put your foot down on the base, hand up against it, you pop out. It doesn't require that much energy or that much effort at all. And then in a moment, once I get all the walls set up here, the final thing that I'm going to do is they have these bars, and you kind of screw it into the center of the tent, and you just pop it up, and that's it. And of course, you're going to unscrew the bar. Now, as I understand as well, so one of the things that sold me on this particular tent right here is there was a channel I was watching up in Alaska, and they kept this thing up all winter long. So on that center bar there, you can actually screw another piece into the bottom of that, and you can use it as a center beam. So if you're going in an area where there's going to be a lot of snow and so forth, that's going to keep that roof line pitched up the way that you want it. There you go. Pop that thing up. Actually, what I'm doing right now is screwing it into place. Now, while I'm tooling around with this, one of the things that I really like about the Hexagon tent here is you have so many windows in this. Now, the Up 5, as you know, you just have a few small windows. As you can see here, I mean, there are these massive size windows inside this thing. it's funny, as I'm watching this, I almost forget which cot that I brought up. So anytime you see me with a double, it's either older footage of mine or I'm heading out with my son. These days, if I'm heading out solo, you'll see me heading out with a single cot. And then, of course, the mattress versus the X-Speed, which I know you're going to see me putting on this in a minute. You'll see me rolling up or laying down a Hess mattress, which, look, X-Speed, love the company. Their mattress is hands down. Yep. Yeah, it's the X-Speed. This is the Dual Megamat 15. So this is their largest mattress that they make, their thickest mattress that they make. Absolutely love this mattress, but man, I'm telling you, Hess is up out of Utah, and their mattress just crushes it. It's hands down. I've had that for now the last month, and it's some of the most comfortable sleeping that I've ever had while I was out camping. But not to take anything away from this. The X-Speed is comfortable, but Hess just raises the bar. Tons of storage all over. And the one thing I didn't point out on this right here is right in the center. A moment ago I was talking about you have that part that you screw into the top. There's a ring that goes around the kind of the center of the top there, and there's more storage up there as well. Yeah, here we go. I knew I had in here talking about the thermals. I'm telling you, from a thermal standpoint, this tent crushes it. And the interior color, this is the way with all the RBM outdoor tents. So you have that white kind of shiny material on the top, and then of course the bottom you have this camo. And it does create this kind of contrast, wall, floor, which is really nice. But now this is a Devos light right here. So this is a relatively bright light to begin with, but as you can see, the light just bounces all over the place. Beamer box right there. That thing is so awesome. That's the red speaker that's built in a Pelican case there. Stay tuned for a very cool video on that thing. All right, so here's my preferred method for heating any of my tents, and that's the Planner 4 kilowatt portable diesel heater. If you've watched this channel, you've seen me preaching about this heater many times over. This diesel heater I've been using now for the last 3 years. I have it's so awesome. I have a 4 kilowatt, which is the portable one, and then on the front of my turtleback trailer, I have a 2 kilowatt, which is their smaller. I think, yeah, that's the smallest heater that these guys make. They make bigger ones because they also make these heaters for boats, luxury boats and stuff like that. So, but anyway, getting back on point here, my turtleback has a 2 kilowatt that's mounted in there, and that's permanently mounted in the nose of that particular trailer of mine. And then when I get the location, I run the hose up into the rooftop tent, because the ground tents are substantially more volume and larger. I use the 4 kilowatt. Now, absolute champ. This heater here is a absolute rock star. I'm telling you, if you enjoy winter camping, and if you've ever gone out and used buddy heaters, and if you don't like the moisture, because that's the thing that was a big buzzkill for me with like the buddy heaters and propane heaters. I don't like the moisture. I don't like all the other negatives that come along and the safety hazards with using these particular heaters. Now, you may say, well, what about some of these Chinese diesel heaters? Because when you look at the price of this heater, it is an investment. It is, I'll tell you right now, this is not a cheap, this is not a inexpensive heater. There are a few items in your camping rig that I believe you need to flex on. For example, tires of your vehicle. You know, I'd be willing to bet this is an area that you might already flex your budget on already, because you need to rely on those tires to get you to where you want and not be punctured by little things on the ground and so forth. The diesel heater, man, this is two opposites. Anyways, hopefully this is connecting here. In my head, it's making sense. The diesel heater is one of those items that if you want to be able to stay warm and reliable warm and have a safety factor. Again, I have spoken about Chinese diesel heaters a number of times in the past. You guys have asked a lot of questions on these things. I've tested 5 of these things over the last handful of years, and every single one of them have ended up in the same manner to me. They don't work. They're loud. They're noisy. I just said that. They burn rich, or they're constantly giving error codes. I've had 2 of them that died within a few days of using them for the first time. But anyway, going back to this heater right here, I have not maintained it well. And I'm sharing this for you for a reason, because it's just built like a tank. So it does what it's supposed to do. So back on these particular tents right here, the reason why I prefer diesel heat is it's dry. It's dry heat. It's efficient. And on top of that, you have at least I know with the planter heaters here, you have a cord that can come in with a thermostat. Well, they have a digital thermostat, and then you have this more analog one, which is what I use on this one right here. And you turn it on, you set it to the power level that you want the tent to be heated, and it just does it. And it does it absolutely amazing. So 2 things to keep in mind. If you're above elevation, higher elevation, you're going to want to run kerosene, or at least cut your diesel with some kerosene in it. And if it's going to be cold, you want to make sure you have a little kerosene mixed in, or running full kerosene as well, because it does run cleaner. The diesel, if it gets cold enough, will start gelling, which of course is going to cause all sorts of problems. And of course, it just burns cleaner as well. Now, a question that comes up often are, what brands do I recommend? You have S-Bar, you have Webasto, and you have Planter. Those are the 3 big giants when it comes to a good quality diesel heater. I prefer Planter because I feel that they are a little bit quieter. The fuel pumps are quieter, or the quietest out of all the diesel heaters that I've tested. All right, so now we're going to shift gears and we're going to talk about the other means of heating a tent like this, because these tents they're hot tents. They're designed to run with a wood stove. So RBM Outdoors just came out with their new wood stoves, which I'm telling you, huge difference compared to their previous years. They really listened to a lot of the feedback coming in from people that were picking these things up, and they really came out with a amazing new wood stove this year. Actually, it came out in September timeframe, right around the same time I picked up this one here. So it just goes back to what I was saying earlier. The diesel heaters are so much easier. You just turn it on, set the temperature that you want, and you're off to the races. Now, we'll say this past weekend, one of the things I was doing, because I do like the wood stove. It's cool to look at. You can cook on it, and of course, it's a heat source. So one of the things I was testing out this past weekend, which of course you'll see a video coming up here shortly, is I went out with another tent, and I brought the wood stove with me. During the day, I was burning wood, and at night, I turned on the planter heater on low setting. So by the time the wood burned down and it was not really contributing much to the heat, inside the tent, the diesel heater was already keeping the temperature comfortable inside the tent, and it actually worked out pretty well. But anyway, back on the topic here. So the last thing I'm going to talk about here, or I think the second to last thing I'm going to point out or talk about here, is the fast takeaway, or the taking this tent down. So this is another common question that comes up where people ask, okay, well, how fast does it go up? Well, how fast does it go down? Well, as you're going to see here, you pop the roof down, and once the roof is down, you just go through the walls and you just kind of kick them in. You pop it back in, which is kind of the opposite of what you did when you put the thing up. And I actually did luck out here because what you see me fidgeting around here is I was able to find one of the doors or windows there to unzip a little bit, and that releases that air pocket, that pressure there, which allows you to obviously get it folded up nice. And this is a big deal for me here because there have been a few tents that I've tested over the years that were just a pain in the rear end to get in. It's like the sleeping bags. And there's one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to camping equipment is the bags that some of these manufacturers send out with their gear, and it is so difficult to get whatever it is back inside of it. RBM Outdoors, hands down, they do it. They give you a lot of extra room in their bags that they ship their tents with. All right, friends, that's all I have here for you today. If you have any further questions with regards to any of the RBM Outdoor tent, or specifically the Hexagon one here, be sure to leave a comment down below, and I will do my best to get you squared away.